So hold on. Hi, this is Colorful Foresight, where we intuitively connect from within. And it's woo-woo time, where we connect our woo-woo into our mundane living. Hello, this is Sylvia, Colorful Foresight. So today we have an interesting topic. It's going to be, is woo-woo even for me? You and me sharing our woo-woo story. So I'm going to do this segment at least once a month live, I think. We'll see how it goes. Definitely, I have some pre-recorded videos with other people where we share it's woo-woo time. It's woo-woo even for me specifically. And what it means is that it's woo-woo even for me. Even though I believe in the woo-woo, it's still like, wow. And it could be something very fantastical or something as simple as a butterfly. There's no judgment. There's no like one is better than the other. Although something bigger, where you see it manifest, sometimes that seems more like a woo-woo. So let's see who's in the... Hello, Hummingbird. Nice to see you. Yes, you are a busy lady. I'm glad you're here. And Fatima. So, I always have this one really like, wow, share, but then you're going to hear it over and over in each video. I'm just going to have to come up with new ones every week. So as you're listening, remember it's all about you. Even though I'm sharing, by the way, I did have originally that I was going to have a guest, but she wasn't able to come on. So it's just going to be you and me, you and me, you and me. You see, you and me. You got it? You and me. So right now, live, I have Fatima, and you, Hummingbird, and me. And whoever shows up after, it's you and me. You get it? You got it? You and me. Okay. So, okay. So, hi, Septina, how are you? So this is about, it's woo-woo even for me. So that means the fantastical. It could be sign and synchronicity. And I do have big woo-woo story, but I can't keep repeating it every week, the same one. Hi, Odelia. The one I'm going to share, and as I share, anything come to you, please put in a comment, as well as if you watch after, please put in a comment under the video. So one of it is that came up, kept asking my divine, like, which one should I share? So I have one old one, which is like a few years ago, maybe even like 8 years ago, and one more recent. So the old one was that, and remember, you could just be intuitive. You don't have to be a psychic per se, but even an intuitive, because we're all intuitive, have like really psychic hit. So with my cousin, we were attending a funeral. And so as we walk out the funeral, the service was done where we put our relative into the resting place. All of a sudden it came to me. I wasn't thinking. That's usually how a real intuitive hit just comes out of nowhere. So with my cousin, and I said, one of your sons having a lot of nightmares that night. A lot of nightmares. Just a lot of nightmares. And she goes, yes. And she went to explain that he was starting to have all interesting, like he started drawing these interesting energy, kind of a dark thing. And he was having a lot of nightmares. And I said, well, you may want to spray like holy water or do some prayers and stuff like that. And she did. And he stopped having dreams. He stopped having negative dreams and he acted more lighter and brighter. And they used to live right by the Brooklyn Bridge. And I think the Brooklyn Bridge had a lot of energy come and go. There's a very magical thing about the Brooklyn Bridge too as well. So I think the kid was picking that up. And he also was the kid, which I found out, when they're born and they sack, what is it called? CAUL. And they tend to be like spiritual type. And so maybe he was just picking up, he was like something that they went toward because he had that kind of energy. So that's woo-woo even for me, because even though I get intuitive hit, it's always still like, wow, especially when it was like something specific like that. I wasn't talking, or we weren't talking woo-woo stuff, and it just came to me. I remember when it just came to me. You understand stuff, Tina. And that's why, like, a lot of time when I try to be getting prediction and things like that, it doesn't seem to happen. Although I think it had to do with my confidence, because I have a blockage somewhere, so that's why I don't get it often as I can. I get more of a vibe. I get more like a feeling. But I know I'd be able to have more prediction, but I have to work on that. But this is the one I'm talking about that just come to you. And I know I have a lot of example, and I wish I'd written them down, letting you know. You think you're going to remember the details, but always write it down in details, even if you bullet point. Because when I look back in my journal, I'm like, I don't remember half of this stuff. You would think you remember it, you know? So that is woo, even for me. And I mentioned this because not always been there since the beginning of time about, getting sense of things, but it's going to happen more and more in 2024 because that's where humanity is evolving into. And so if you guys get any thoughts that come to you that you want to share after, let me know. So that was something like a long time ago, and that way it should come to you. A lot of times, sometimes I've even been taught if I'm seeking it, sometimes I'm seeking the wrong energy that I'm not supposed to. I'm too busy seeking it. It could be my ego in a way. So I have to let it come to me. So that's one thing. So another, it's woo-woo, even for me. I have a cousin who had ALS. I think it's not ASL or ALS. That's the muscle disease. And it's not, it's like a very fast thing. Usually within 2 to 4 years, you're pretty much done. You're going to pass over. Not like some diseases or, you can live 20 years. It's progressive, it's slow. So I put her on I was doing a Ananda prayer meditation thing monthly for 1 month in December. And I included all the people that I know they were sick. Now, it wasn't about being cured. It's just sending positive energy to them. Sometimes people still going to go. You can't do anything about it, but it's nice to send them. So one night, it was actually the day before she passed. I would, read the names, and I would say, Spirit, please send them Ananda, right? And I would say, I couldn't say her name. And I kept blanking out. I paused. I couldn't say her name. And I found out she died. It might have been that day or the day after. And that happened to me once before with another cousin. And I didn't even know he was sick because they kept it hidden. So when he actually died, we were still shocked. And he was also very young, and he died from cancer. But they didn't share that. And I remember I was praying. It was like 2 months before he died. I remember going over my immediate family, like my aunt and their kid, my uncle and their kid. And then the kid and a lot of my cousins are older now, so they have kids. And I remember let's say there were 5 in a family. I was listing all of them except one, which is my cousin that was passing away. And I couldn't remember his name, and it was escaping me. It only until after I remembered, like, oh, I was picking up, like, he was not quite there. So I noticed, like, growing into my spirituality, and I hope it doesn't mean that every time I block out, but I'm noticing, like, if I'm paused or I can't remember or there's something off, that's usually like an intuitive hit. So that's even woo-woo even for me, because going back to my cousin who had ALS, I'm praying for her every day. I never had a problem saying her name. And I couldn't for the life of me that time. So anything come to your mind? I have another one, but those are the 2 I want to share, because each month I'll have a new one. And I do have like a real fantastical one, but I can't keep mentioning the same one over and over, So I'm going to just ask the universe to provide me a new one each month. So anything in mind that you want to share? So that's what I'm feeling for 2024. We're going to start recognizing that more. Not only because that's naturally what happens when you practice your intuition and your spirituality, but because something going on with the planet. And we're going to witness more sign of synchronicity, miracle, and yada, yada, yada. So nothing. I got 5 people. It's all quiet. Hi, Steven. Greetings, Earthling. I should have just had a list of it's woo woo even for me. I did originally have a guest, but she had to cancel out the last minute, so there was this whole conversation. So I'm just gonna have to wing it, or maybe it'll be a short video. So anything come to mind, any of you? Septina, can I share about that sign of synchronicity where I was praying for you just before you knew I was sending you Ananda, and then you were getting a lot of sign of synchronicity? Oh, so let's go. Just keep talking, guys. We'll come up with new things. So, like sometime when people are sick, like Septina with under the weather, and she has scary vision. And sometimes only when she's sick she gets scary vision. Okay, so what happened is now Septina, the Tipsy Tea Leaf Oracle, nothing unusual for her to see vision. She is intuitive, she's very psychic, she's very active in her spirituality. So sign and synchronicity included. That's nothing new. But in the beginning, when I start doing the Ananda meditation, Ananda means happiness because it's the Hindu organization I belong to. And I just pray, and then Ananda, that's it, right? Nothing else. And so I put her and her son on my list. And I did tell her like a week later, but I didn't tell her at first. So she went on live on YouTube. She goes, "Oh my God, I've been getting unusual amount of sign and synchronicity." Now, it might have been happening anyway, nothing, but it was like unusual. And it was within that few days, I sent her the Ananda meditation. And I've been seeing it for myself too. So I emailed her and I'm like, I don't know if it's related, but I've been sending you and your son Ananda prayer meditation. And I know it's been happening with other people too, you know. So that's always like it's woo-woo even for me. And I'm sure there's a lot of time maybe you guys have prayed for others that had nothing to do with what I'm talking about. And it happened, especially when we do a group prayer. You know how it is when it's like 100 more, it's more powerful. So when you see somebody who's really ill and they do get better, it's like wow. So thank you for letting me share that. So Hummingbird said, just a random thought that brought me joy the other day. I was in a public restroom washing my hand and look in the mirror and actually found myself looking beautiful. Awesome. That's like a new awakening. And the lady next to me looked at me and pushed and said, "You are so beautiful." Like as if she was reading your thought. Or that was the sign, like the universe goes, yes. Like you heard it and then the universe like just making sure you got it again. And that's the thing, like going back to Tipsy Tea Leaf Oracle, if I could find the card, she was picking up the card, the 4 of Cups. Hold on, let me find it. It matters. It goes with it woo-woo even for me. Because how many miracles or sign of synchronicity we get all the time, but we dismissed it. Even though in 2024 and on going to be more obvious. Maybe could have that collective awakening or something. And I'm noticing even with the spiritual community that a lot of us go on, they're doing topics similar to me. Like in one group, they're doing about where they're going to pray for a specific intention. And, it's like something, there's one intuitive reader, Linda G., who's a political intuitive. And I've been following her since 2017. And she said that 2024, she saw something pretty interesting, more Mother Mary apparition and the type. And then when I share that with others in another, one of the other spiritual community group, they were talking about the divine feminine coming through. And you know how it is, if you're in a spiritual community, we could all be kind of saying the same thing, but we interpret it different. Like one group, you may say light worker, the other person may say wage shower, and then the other person would say yada yada yada. Is any of them inaccurate? No. It's just that there's 8 billion people and they're going to be seen and heard in a different way. So before I continue with the 4 cup, real quick, as Hummingbird was saying, she looked at the public in a mirror. She found herself feeling beautiful. Then the lady next to her looked at her and pushed and said, "You are so beautiful." I put my hand on her and said, "She is beautiful. We are all inside." But it's very interesting. So here's the 4 cup. And the 4 cup is, we're always focusing over here, right? But how many times we're getting the sign or, the possibility of the universe not given to us, but we don't notice it or we don't recognize it. So that's the same when it comes to woo-woo and things like that, because I have a lot of challenge and I struggle, right? And sometimes I think the universe is not listening to me. But I guess I'll mention the necklace story. You might hear me say over and over during the 2024. But I was doing a meditation, and I even have the necklace. Hold on. I know that for sure you're going to hear me say over and over for the year. But anyway, I was like in a program called Oneness Blessers. So this back in 2015 or something. And when you finish the program, you get a wooden bead necklace. It's more like a beginner thing. And it comes in a bag, you get like 100 of them. So whenever a new student graduates, they get this wooden bead necklace, mala bead necklace, right? But it's very fragile. Got the string, got the wooden beads. So I kept breaking it. So I broke it. I asked her for another one. And she gave it to me, broke it again. The 3rd time, she's like, "Maybe you want to take those beads and put them together." And I'm like, "It's not going to happen because I know I'm going to break it again. It's so flimsy. I'm not like delicate like that." And so I went to a process called the sacred chamber. And you go into meditation, you're praying with others, but quietly. So in there, I'm praying, I'm going in my head, "Divine, please help me manifest a strong set of mala bead necklace." Because they tend to be like expensive, $40, $50, $60, like a real strong one. And I kid you not, within 5 minutes, the person sitting next to me, I know who she is. She's very psychic. She goes, "I feel guided to tell you to gift you a mala bead necklace that I got from Tibet." How the hey does she know? I mean, I'm like, right? So she mailed me this mala bead necklace. Look how strong it is. How many years? It's like 2015, 23 now. Okay. And then within a year, somebody else gifted me a mala bead necklace. I haven't had it since because I have 2. I don't need more than that. So that's the woo-woo, even for me. And the thing is, how easily I forget, because then I'm suffering after. And I'm like, "God, are you listening to me? Where are you? Why this is not being manifested, this?" And divine always remind me this, because that's really fantastical. That's like, how the hey? I mean, I'm not talking out loud. The person next to me tells me, "Give me it." That's like a real obvious one. So we have like the woo every day in our life, but then we got the real fantastical. And even now, I don't know what to make of it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh yeah, it's like that kind of thing. So I know all of you, some of you, I know you, Tapina, probably understand that. So thank you for sharing that, Hummingbird. Anybody has anything to share? I want to pull out cards, but my spirit guide's telling me, nope, not today. Except for that four of cups. So let's look at that again. And this is inspired by, yeah, it was literally boom next to me. Exactly. And I've had others, but I'm not feeling to share it. But that's like a real 4 cups where how often the we are getting the woo, but are we acknowledging it? Because sometimes it comes in a small woo, not a big fantastical woo, like a Mother Mary apparition. That's a big woo. Anything come to mind? Stephen, nothing. You got another woo hummingbird? Except Tina, I'm gonna let her be because she's recovering. So basically, I'm thinking of doing this once a month. So if you couldn't think of it now, you could share with me next month. You even could show up, and we could do live together. Now you're all quiet. Quack 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 quack. Cricket. Da 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 da. So I'm just acting my spirit. What else I need to share? So we'll go with like this is the message for 2024 and on and beyond. So even if you listen to this somehow years later, it still applied to you. Could probably by then it's even more where you're experiencing the miraculous. So, the only thing that you're all trying to think, I know, don't you hate that? You know what I did? Maybe just really being in the moment to enjoy all around us. Yeah. And you know what's interesting? It's because I experienced it for myself, I could believe it. But even if I'm sharing it, until you experience it for yourself, it's different. It's like if you're a mother, I will not know what it's like to have a kid. But if you're a mother who had a child, you actually had in your belly and you birthed it, you really know. Until you have your own mystical, then you could believe it. Because I've noticed with an organization I belong to, some of them are getting honey coming out of their screen. Yeah, out of their, not screen, out of the picture with their divine being. And I would imagine, again, I mentioned it a lot, if you have your divine being start showing up in a physical, it's like mind blowing. Even though it's very natural, we know miracles intuitively very natural, but at this timeline, it's still like, whoa, we could feel it, we could see it, but to actually see it come out of nowhere. I mean, listen, if this necklace had literally came out in 5 minutes next to me, then I really would have freaked out. But even her telling me that was like amazing. And then she gave me the necklace within a few weeks after. She mailed it to me. So, or mailed it or gave it to me at another time. So, anything come to your mind when you hear that? Like, you really have to know. It's like I experienced the twin flame stuff, right? Although I don't like the label. If I didn't experience it, I would think it, even though I'm open-minded, and I could be like, oh, that's kind of cool, until you experience it for yourself. Hi, Gerald. You missed all the goodies. You're going to have to look from the beginning. So, Gerald, I mean, since you're here, have you had any woo-woo experience that even for you were like, wow? I know, it's like she comes in with no context. So, thank you for saying hello anyway. So Fatima said, one time something happened to me. I was looking at my hairdresser picture after she died and she winked at me. I'm telling you. Sometimes it is just our imagination. It is. But sometimes it's not. Usually if I get like a live vision, it comes off like a blurry. I don't know if in my mind it's like playing games, like, oh my God, it is something like it also sometimes comes off like a cartoon. Kind of like I feel like I made it up. It's only because I listen to my intuition. My intuition would be like, no, that was real, or that was nothing. Then she did it again. That's why you need, like, you're like, woo, 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 woo. Did I just make that up? Deet, 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 deet. That's why I usually need, like, to hear it 3 times or more, something like that, mystical. But sometimes mystical experience will only happen once. It's not, even if I go, I need to see it again, it won't happen again. But I'll act for like 3 times or more just to make sure. And you know what? I could be like, you're making that up. But you only know, Fatima. And I could believe you because I had experiences like that. Only recently, not with the wink so much, but something else. And I'd be like, yeah, I know those things could happen, but there'd still be a part of me that doubt it. So what did you do in the coven meeting? Sounds like, ho, 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 your candle magic, Gerald. So, Stephen, you have anything? Septina, Odelia? They start and come. See, the fact that Fatima starts seeing it, sometimes it's like a memory would come back. I actually have another memory I share, and I have shared this before with the live, and Stephen was on it. I saw my grandmother after she died. I know it's private. That's true. That's sacredness. The point of a spiritual meeting, or especially a coven, it's sacredness. So I get you. Okay. You got scared. Yeah. You know, my mother, my sister and I will see our fathers, our father who passed on. And my mother gets annoyed. She's like, why don't I get dream like you guys do of her husband and all that? So one time she was upstairs and she got scared because she said, oh my God, she saw like a figure and it sat next to her. She goes, maybe with my husband. And I was scared. I'm like, he didn't want to scare you. That's why he didn't do that. And she doesn't believe in it. So, and then she communicate with you through dream. That's like a safe way. I think out of like the many fantastical, we get it through dreams or it comes in a butterfly. It's more soft. I call it softball. Like it's more like we could believe it. But when it appears out of nowhere, it's more like holy. I don't care how long you've been in the into the spirituality. Yeah, Septina, maybe another time. Maybe we'll, if you don't mind, we'll do it's woo even for me live within the next few months, so you could just share it. So Septina said she had many, but it's too detailed to type. I have a lot of dreams that come true. That is how I know it's real. I was sharing like, how as I'm sharing and Fatima getting at first she couldn't think of anything, but then all this coming up. And we know, like most of you know, that sometimes we need other people share. It stirs up ideas. Then an idea or a memory will come up. So one of it I have shared before with the Mother Mary thing. I was 16 years old. And now 16 years old, I was not talking with my best friend at the time about spirituality. We both coming from Catholic high school, in fact. My spirituality of the unseen, even though I've had it all my life, like many of us, we had it since we were a kid, but it really was after 1920. So I was in her living room, and, in the living room, it was a bed. The way the living room, the apartment was set, they divide in half, where they made like a third bedroom for the younger brother. But because I was sleeping over, the younger brother slept with the parents and I slept in that room. And in that area, they had like a statue of Mother Mary. Now, nothing unusual. It's like the ceramics of the shoulder and up. It's about this big, like the size of this. It's like a big one. Nothing, right? So I go to sleep and I'm sleeping. And all of a sudden, I'm feeling things and I open my eyes, but it's in the dark. And it was glowing, like whoa, 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 like loud, not just like. I remember being freaked out by it, but totally forgot. Oh, good, Septina. I think that'd be fun. We'll have you come live next month or two. So totally forgot about it. I got reunited with my friend like 10 years ago. I didn't even talk about it because it's kind of like you kind of dismiss it. Because I used to feel a lot of things, Didn't think anything of it. So 10 years ago or so, probably a little more, when Facebook came to play, I I was texting to my friend, and I said, I had a really interesting experience with Mother Mary, and she goes, "Oh my God, that statue used to go to the Korean church, and could it was like it had an energy to it. It would like come alive." I'm like, "Why didn't you tell me that? Not something they talked about." You know what I mean? And I'm like, "Well, where is it now?" I hope she doesn't mind me sharing, but I'm not mentioning name. They had it like put somewhere. I don't know. But it's like, so what happened is I'm starting to see a lot of like things like that where there were other stories. Oh, I also said that in her apartment, I used to get spooked a little bit. And she told me, "Oh, yeah, my apartment was a little haunted." But we didn't talk about stuff like that. We weren't that deep at that age. So, because sometimes it's just you being afraid of the dark, but sometimes there was a reason, right? I know a lot of you could relate to that, but but I'm going back to that because Fatima at first couldn't think of anything, but as I was sharing, it triggered stuff. So as you all continue to share, because I know Septina shared about her experience with the unseen, it triggers things, and yeah. So let's see what else we have here. Odelia said, "I heard my mom breathing in my bedroom. She had just passed a few days before." And like Septina, Fatima, I've had others, but too long to write. Maybe I should just have some of you show up. Like, you could fit up to 10 people in here. And even if you're shy, I think there's a way you could share without your face being shown. So anything else come to mind? That's amazing. So funny. I'm asking my spirit guide if I could share any other stories. There's many, but I can't think of any. That's why I'm going to start writing them down, because that's kind of like dismissing it. And I would just keep writing them down, even if it's like a bullet point, because I notice the details will come on when I write the bullet point. So it's woo-woo even for me. 2024 on, it's rocking it. Uh, Especially after that, many years after, going to get more and more like that because of the planet, where we're heading as humanity, things like that. That's why we've been seeing like more ETs, the Pentagon. Suddenly, 2, 3 years ago, they said, "Oh, maybe there's something to the UAP." They don't say ET, it's more like unidentified object. Now, we know the government known for a long time, but there must be a reason why suddenly they're giving validity to it. Then Hummingbird said, "Does anyone have experience with light codes?" What do you mean light codes? That could be so many different things, especially in the spiritual community. What do you mean light codes? So tonight we're going to have a guest for you to know if you just came in and she wasn't able to show up. So we were going to share like different stories. So just you and me, babe. Just you and me. Like I said at the beginning, you and me. You and me, you, me, you, me, you, me. Like what, Hummingbird? Maybe you'll trigger some ideas, some memory. Adelia said, "When she was 9, I got cold chills in my friend's room." We get a lot of those things. That goes back to that 4 cup thing, where it's like it's in front of our face. In the 4 cup, you have that one hand that comes out, and we don't even notice it. There've been a lot of that in our life. And then there's some people that think every little moment it is every little interesting sign or mythical or the unseen, and it's just like a practical reason, like a wind blown or something, the window was open. But you know Adelia showed that how natural intuition is, and we've been getting all these signs, but we don't pay attention. Not part of our culture, to notice like that, like form coming through in light rays. I mean, I hear a lot of people who are in the spiritual community, they experience a lot of different things like light code. They talk, they have light, they talk with, can't think of it, but you all know, like light code languages. Sometimes it's just the rays come through their room. I've had a picture where it's another with the Archangel Michael experience. I don't have the picture, but um, I would with my cousins. That's a woo woo even for me. That's a big one. Of course, I don't have the picture of it to show it to you. But I was with my cousins. We got together just a few years ago, and we're talking spiritual things, like with cousins who's not even into spiritual. We had like some oracle cards out, but the energy was feeling strong, and I'm very connected with Archangel Michael. But doesn't mean I see it, physically. Like, and Archangel Michael is the common, angel that a lot of people like to use for protection, even though in many cultures they're called different things. And so behind me, that we were taking a group picture. Let's say there's 10 of us, and the TV behind us had a screen on, but it was only light blue. It wasn't like a TV show, just a plain light blue screen. So we take a bunch of pictures, and in between me and my cousin, there's a face, like, and then the light beam. Maybe that's why you brought it up, hummingbird. A light. It was just like it looked like it was like a light got in the way, and you have a light beam across. And I'm like, who faced that? Remember, the light blue color is Archangel Michael, but I didn't think that yet. I'm like, who faced that? Because it wasn't a show. It was just a light blue screen, and you see this man. It looked like a Latin man, like, and it's like a light beam across the face. And even now, as I talk about it, it seems like I don't know what to make of it. It's just the same thing with this. But it was the few pictures of him smiling in between me and my cousin. And this what makes it more interesting, and had not happened since, although I know I have Archangel Michael around me. It was actually about 2 days before Christmas Eve. So on Christmas Eve, with 2 days later, I'm at my sister-in-law house. So, Christmas Eve, she does the party. So I'm looking at her tree, and there's nobody around because it's in the next room, and everybody's in the next room. No TV on. And I went to take a picture of the tree. All of a sudden, bright, imagine like somebody took a picture of you, and there's a big bright light. You know how you get the flash? But there's nobody here. And I was like, whoa. And then I saw the thing swirl across my camera, but it kind of like a dream. And in the pictures, you could see like a light blue white orb, like swirl. That's a light ray. It's not a light cold, but it's like an orb light ray thing. And because I had those two experiences with the same time, I was like, wow, And even then, I kind of dismissed that experience, And I have the picture of that somewhere on my Facebook, and I have in my old phone, but they don't have charger anymore. That particular charger from Verizon. I remember going to a Verizon store, and they said they don't have that charger anymore. I should call up, and because there's no way I can have access to it. So I have my modern camera, the cell phone, and I haven't had that, but I've had other experiences like that. So that's part of a light ray, even though it comes in an orb, like old flash tube, literally, or like a paparazzi. Like a paparazzi, they're very bright. But I remember feeling crossed like like that. And even today, I think I'm not used to it. One thing to believe it, to feel it, but when it starts showing up physically, it's too much for the mind. Maybe eventually we get used to it. We're like, oh yeah. But I don't know if we ever get used to it, because it seems like, from what I hear from a lot of you, how we've had experiences since kids. And then a lot of times we remember them later on in life. And sometimes, again, it's just made up experiences, but you find out it's true. I think as we get opened up, it becomes more real. The experience become more real because we're more in tune, our chakras or whatever, it's more in alignment. So you, Septina said, from the cube, the old flash cubes, you still see that. I know, right? Remember how little they were and then had that little flash on top? So Hummingbird said, yes, I just got off the phone with my brother, and my heart was filled with overwhelming unconditional love. I was outside, and the light of sun came in, and it was orb with body. Took a picture. Awesome. Awesome. So I hope you enjoy. This is the new segment for 2024. It's woo-woo, even for me. I'm going to do this once a month. If you guys want to share story, because I always need people, you go at you could email me at colorfulforesight@gmail.com. If you're on the shy side, we could somehow find a way to have you on and not have your face shown. Maybe just show your hand. I don't know. So anything else before we wrap up? I hope like you listening to this, if you're watching now or even after, some more memories will come about. Because it's happening. More woo-woo in our life. Even more woo-woo than you are being woo-woo. Although it's kind of like a chicken it's like kind of like a chicken. Who would there first, the chicken or the egg? I think sometime maybe it's always been there. Just we're awakening to it. Which one do you think? I think it's both. My second experience was 2 hours between an old church and a nursing home where I work. Oh, you have it in the picture? You know what the killer? Sometimes I would take pictures and I think it's the orb, but then you find out you could see that it came from that light. Like sometimes it's obvious. Like a lot of with the cell phone, there's the blue light that kind of flutter across on the cell phone. They think the mythical is part of the cell phone. So what happened is you kind of like go, oh my God, I was fooled. But I think just like anything, sometimes we get fooled. Sometimes it's a practical reason, but sometimes it's not. And I think as we experience it more and more, validate it. Think about validating our woo-woo or our everybody, not just the spiritual psychic people, like intuitive people. It will become more and more real. And we're starting to see that in the movies and people starting conversation. How many spiritual channels there are on YouTube and things like that? So many that they even like some spiritual YouTube channel that mock it. A lot of fakes, people that just claim they are. Meanwhile, I bet you some of them are, and they don't utilize it for good. So, alrighty. So we'll take care, right? Wait, I got an ending for you, Gerald, if you're still here. It's like my intro, but without me talking. So this is going to be my ending. My end intro, where it's there, but quiet. Here we go.